Recording in progress. I think we'll get started, and then as a few more people trickle in, we will just kind of bring them up to speed. Right now, we do not have an executive committee, so I will do the roll for now. Joan,
Yep, I'm here.
Patrick, not here. Mike is
Here.
here. Joanne, Jean, Roger is online, I believe, or what? Yep, there he is.
Yes, I'm online.
Good to see you, Roger. Nathan
Yeah.
is here. Yes, welcome to the first board meeting. Steph,
I'm right here.
Donnie is online. Is Jeanette here? No, okay. Dan is here.
Physically.
We're all here physically, maybe. And then Karen, I don't see her yet. She may be coming on to work, so she might be a little late. Jess is here, Delisa, Paul, Rebecca is on. Oh, and poor Rebecca is sick. Oh, that is not good. And then, yeah, I don't see him either. Well, hopefully we'll be able to get started here. So, in the meantime, I will kind of serve as president until we can elect everybody. So I'll do the call to order. I'll look for an approval of the agenda that is in your packets and
Motion
was
to approve.
emailed, okay?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved, and then we have approval of minutes from the September board meeting, which was emailed to you. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so passed. Open board positions. So, we still have 3 board positions that are open in quad 1, which is Joanne and Rogers, which is Larpenteur to the north, Maryland to the south, White Bear Avenue to the east, and Johnson Parkway, the Bruce Bento Trail to the west. We have 2 positions open in where Jess lives in quad 3, which is Maryland to the north, Minnehaha to the south, Johnson Parkway to the west, and White Bear Avenue to the east. And then we have 1 at-large position still available. So anyone who lives anywhere or owns a business in the neighborhood, that position is still open as well. So if you know of anyone who lives on the, let's say, the west side of White Bear, or anywhere in the neighborhood, really, please let me know and we will gladly get them on the board. It'd be great to have a full board and have full representation of all of our neighborhoods. Moving on, we have officer elections. So is there any nominations for president this year?
Honey, can we keep him?
Can Yanni, can you accept that nomination?
I accept that nomination.
Okay, are there any other nominations? Anyone, you want to give Yanni a run for his money?
No, because I know where you
We could talk about other positions with Tara's. So if there are no other nominations, I think we'll move on to vice president. Are there any nominations for vice president?
Lisa.
All right, Delisa, will you accept that nomination?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody want to give Delisa a run for her money? Okay.
Nobody wants it.
We'll move on to secretary. Are there any nominations?
Joan.
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 Everybody's saying Joan. Joan, do you accept that nomination?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else want to run against Joan? Speak now or forever.
She has the best handwriting.
She does have the best handwriting. Okay. Thank you, Joan. Now, treasurer.
Paul? No, okay.
Paul has he's already contracting with White Bear Avenue Business Association, so we
so
want
yeah,
to keep
okay.
that separate.
Would you like to do it?
It's a really very easy
Treasurer.
position. Basically, you just meet with me once a quarter and I go through where we're at. And you say whether or not that sounds good. And that's about it.
Sure. Would you do it, Jess? Yeah, I would do it. Jess?
Okay, Jess, you feel comfortable with that?
Sure, yeah,
Okay,
that's fine.
Cool.
Hey, I take care of all the money things. in the house.
Well, there you
So
go.
we're good.
There you go, you've experienced one. There we are.
Now, the fun, 3 additional board members are needed to round out the executive committee. There's no real officers. It's just to kind of round out so that it's not just the officers making the main decisions for the organization. So
Yeah, Joanne Ellis. said she
Joanne
would.
one,
Good one.
Do it.
Steph,
There we go.
we need one more.
Uh-uh.
Louise, that was already on, so.
guys.
Michael,
you guys.
Michael, I'll take Michael.
Sorry, Mike, Dan,
I'll take it.
okay,
Dan,
Mike, do you want to run? So Dan, you're on? All right. That makes it very easy. So with that, I will need a motion to close the roll. And it would be the President Yanni, Vice President Delisa, Secretary Ms. Joan, Treasurer Jess, Executive Committee, Lance, Steph, and Dan. Motion to close the roll.
motion.
Second.
Hey, Ms. Karen, how are you? And, all right, is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, so we've closed the roll. Now let's approve the slate as is. So I'll need a motion for that. I know. Robert's rules, he's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. So
Motion?
we'll need a motion to approve this.
Motion.
All right,
Second,
all right. Any discussion?
fast. Just get it over with.
Any discussion?
Rip that Band-Aid off.
Right, right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Well, welcome to the executive committee, everyone. Thank you very much.
We get a bump in pay?
Yes.
0 times
Yes.
0.
Yeah. Do you get a big raise?
Yep.
I
want a tiara like
Steph
All right, so I'm going to share my screen here and I'm going to go into our financials for this month. Okay, so I'm just find my report here. I've got 7,000 things open, so bear with me. I think what we're first gonna do, yeah, let's do the October monthly. Cause for those of you who have been on the board for a while, this is gonna look new to you. But it's basically the same information, in just a different format that hopefully makes it easier.
Okay.
If it doesn't make it easier, tell me and I will try and make it even easier yet. So right now in our checking account, well, that's actually as of October 31st, in our checking account, we had $43,000. We didn't have any deposits in October. That's not a big surprise. The way we have to spend, and so this is kind of for all you newbies, the majority of our grants are reimbursement based. So that means we spend the money and then we go back to the city or the county or however and ask for reimbursement for those monies. They're not quick. They never have been, they never will be. The worst time for them will be in the spring when all the district councils submit their contracts for the year. Then they have to go through those who are still submitting for 2023, those who want to start submitting for 2024, and they have to have the actual contracts written and approved by the department. So sometimes we don't get January, February, March until May, June, and July. But I want you to all know, we are in financially a place that we have a good 6 months in our general funds at all time to protect us if the city gets a little slow, which they do, and they will. So if you, our total expenses, 27,484.03, that is payroll, that is utilities, that is any supplies we purchase, that is everything in one bucket that we spent in October. Now, as we get down further in the report, you'll see citizen, these are the grants that we have this year. A majority of the money that we get is restricted, which means we can't just go off and buy a building, or we can't just go off and invest in new projects. We write the grant specifically for specific programming, specific payroll, specific supplies. So we can't really veer, although we do have, most of our grants, we have a little bit of wiggle room. So if we have to pull from one for another thing, we usually have a little bit of room to do that, but most of our grants are restricted.
No tiaras.
Hold that thought. The biggest grant that we have as of right now, 2024 is going to be a little different, is the city grant for citizen participation. District councils contract with the cities to not only create the 10-year neighborhood plan, but also do engagement on land use, zoning, any city processes that they want citizen input on. They contract with us to do that. It's $127,520, and that is just for District 2. There are 17 district councils in the city. Each one gets a different amount because there is a base amount. And then based on your population, on the number of limited English skills, and then on the number of jobs that are in the neighborhood. So they figured that if you have little jobs, a lot of non-English or limited English speakers, engagement is going to be harder to do, and so you should get more money. Plus, if your population is higher, which we are the second largest, once the Heights and Hafner site gets built, will be the largest. It takes more to really and truly engage the neighborhood. So again, it's reimbursement. Wish it wasn't, but it is. Some of those monies from the city are federal through the community development block grant process, which means we have even more restrictions on about $35,000 of that. We just went through an audit and we will probably go through another audit probably in about 3 to 5 years, because they've now created a schedule of audits. We pass with flying colors, which is a good thing. But because we have those federal dollars, and not every district council has those federal dollars, it's based on income of the neighborhood that you serve. There's a few more hurdles we have to jump and a few more boxes we have to check before we can access those funds. The second largest grant we have right now is Ramsey County is paying us to engage the neighborhood on health topics, specifically healthy aging, mental health resources, and food resources. So what food shelves are available, what Thanksgiving giveaways are available, what resources that seniors have available to them in the neighborhood, and then what mental health access there is in the neighborhood, what resources are here. That is a 2-year grant. So whatever we do not spend this year, we have until August of next year to spend. So there will be, you will see in the 2024 carryover, a carryover of amount. I had originally anticipated spending more by this time, but we've had some staffing changes this year, and so we just didn't spend as much as I thought. The next one that is pretty darn large is the St. Paul Foundation. We hired the consultants of Great Hall to help us rewrite our equity plan. Kind of put it on hiatus for the second half of the year, just because again, staffing changes, but we'll be picking that up again next spring. So again, that'll be a carryover into next year. We have a $9,000 grant from the East Side Community Investment Co-op. SK, not SK, SK.
Correct.
Because there was some debate on that one. So they are looking to create a community cooperative group on the east side that will purchase and develop, starting with commercial buildings, but also some housing buildings, similar to like Rando Community Land Trust, co-ops that are working in Rice Street, in Northeast Minneapolis and some others. It will be community owned, community run, and still trying to get up to speed. We're a very new project. So we were given $9,000 to help them with engagement on that and help them plan some events. Giovanna right now is sitting on that as staff. I know a couple of our board members, Delisa, Yanni, not sure if anybody else is sitting on that one, but a couple of them are working on that. And so you'll be hearing more in the future, but again, they're still at the process of creating bylaws and structure. So that's very early in the process. We did apply for Neighborhood Star money this year, which we were granted. However, we haven't had any businesses take us up on it yet. The purpose of this grant is not for us. It's a pass-through. So we are trying to have, we used to have a development corporation in the neighborhood, the Northeast Neighborhoods Development Corporation. Those of you who've been around a while are very familiar with that. When their prior executive director passed away, they decided to disband. And those of you who were at the board meeting last month, or actually 2 months ago now, were part of that formal disbanding of the development corporation. With them gone, there's a huge gap in the neighborhood, especially for some of our smaller businesses who are looking for funding to do, HVAC, heating, air conditioning improvements, window improvements, siding, signs, substantial in our world, but smaller compared to some of the other, like building a business or something like that. So we have started applying through the Neighborhood Star program at the city to have the ability to grant out to some of these businesses that ability to, add windows. I know that Hazel Park United Church of Christ, it just had the Northeast seniors move into their building and they found out their windows aren't great. So they're looking to apply for windows. Because we didn't include them in this grant, they can't, but we've already applied for additional funds for that to happen. We have 2 years to spend this, so we are getting towards the end of the first year. I have a meeting next week actually with Nicole Cherry from the Cherry Pit, who had expressed interest and applied, and then the summer hit and she forgot about it. So now hopefully she's coming back to saying, hey, looking for that 49,000. We did also apply for further funds for redoing our equity plan. This is kind of a tricky one because former staff had applied for it. And I don't know where the communication is with that one. I'm still trying to figure that out. So we may be able to transfer that over to next year. They may ask for it back. We'll figure it out. If I have to give it back, I will let you all know and the reasons why. The only non-restricted funds that we receive is the White Bear Avenue Business Association gives us money every year through their pull tab sales. So if you go to the Cherry Pit, you go to Cups and Cheers, you go to Bourne's Bar on Rice Street and you see pull tab machines or a pull tab booth, you're supporting White Bear Avenue initiatives in District 2 because we are their main donation every year. They were very successful with their pull tabs in 2022 and they gave us $62,000. That was to provide staffing support, That was to put on a parade, which has dramatically increased in price. And then do some other engagement work with the Port Authority on the Heights. I will tell you, 2024 is not gonna look that good from White Bear Avenue Business Association. Pull tabs have tanked. So we are looking at getting closer to $35,000 this year, which is still substantial and still enough for a parade. But I mean, it's a major drop. Hopefully those pull tabs will start picking up again, the bingos and all that other stuff. Right now, left over from last year in our general fund was $12,895. That we had utilized this year. We actually had at the end of last year about $40,000 in the bank. So we, right now, in our general fund, we have what, 27,200 or so. I expect that number to go up. Just because I have a feeling here is not gonna ask us for that $8,000 back, and we can utilize that. Any questions on our grants? I know that's a lot of information and I apologize, but we're trying to get everything in one night. But if you ever have any questions, feel free to give me a holler. Jess and I will be having plenty of conversations about, you know, what our grant situation is and where we're going. The executive committee is actually going to be approving a new budget because the budget I had submitted to you in September had a lot of question marks on it. And now we got answers, and we got good answers. So that's a good thing. Yes.
Just give us a sentence or two about the equity plan. What is?
So, we have a current equity engagement plan. So what it means is, how are we working to engage everyone in the neighborhood, not just homeowners, not just people of color, not just wealthy people, not just this. So the equity plan is kind of putting us on check on how we're doing our engagement and ensuring that we are making the effort to work to engage everyone, not just the low, I hate to say it, the low hanging fruit, the ones who are willing to come to public meetings. The ones who happen to have internet access. The ones who see flyers written in English at a rec center and will come. So how are we kind of changing how we do our engagement to ensure that everyone is getting engaged? As many as everyone that we can with our capacity, our budget, as well as our staffing. And you'll be hearing a little bit more about some of the things that we're doing for 2024 to increase that capacity. Mainly it's because we were very, you know, I alluded to it, we've been very lucky with grant writing. So we are in the process of trying to hire bilingual organizer part-time for 20 hours speaking Spanish. We already have a very, very part-time, a 400-hour per year contract of someone who speaks Hmong. But the intent this summer is to hire 2 to 3 potential interns with the ability of Hmong, Karen, and possibly Oromo as well. Because those are the main languages spoke in our neighborhood, other than English, is Hmong, Spanish, Karen, and Oromo. So, like I say, well, we've got some things cooking for 2024, but that was kind of pulled out of some of the pre-work we've been doing on the equity plan. So the other change to the financial report is, I wanted you to see what we're budgeting and how much we've spent so much of that budget. In my opinion, as executive director, a budget is a goal. We think we're gonna spend this much. Sometimes we spend more, sometimes we spend less, but it's just kind of a point to stick on the wall to goal at. It's not a bad thing if we spend more. It's not a bad thing if we spend less. We just need a point to stick at, to say, this is what we think we're gonna do. What happens oftentimes, is I'm budgeting before I know if we have grants. So it's like, I think we'll have 5,000 to throw in this bucket, and I think that we'll have this much. Sometimes we have more because we have grants coming in after the budget is created. So I wouldn't concern myself too much if the budget and what's spent is fluctuated. Because we do also have a good chunk in general fund to cover expenses if we have to. The two main thing that we spent way more on, and I'm looking and I see a huge typo for website, it should be 250, not 5,250 in budget. We had two bad things happen to us this year. First, we have two community gardens, which are actually good, but we had some trees come down. And come to find out, due to contracts that were signed long before I took over as executive director, we were liable for those trees to be removed. Was lucky that they fell on the street, and so Parks and Rec could take the big chunks out, but we still had to pay for that. The second thing, which I've already included, but it hasn't happened yet, is either a rock or a bullet went through one of the windows at the Kramer Room.
Oh.
And, again, we are on the hook for that. So, that's gonna be about $1,600. We've paid it already. It just hasn't happened yet because they have to actually fabricate the windows. Those were the main big changes that we had to budget versus expenses. Our biggest expense is compensation of your staff and fringe. That's just across the board. That's always going to be the biggest investment that you have. But we have some pretty great people on our staff, and we should be really, really excited about the people that are on our staff, especially some of those new people on our staff, and Annie and G. So are there any other questions that anyone has on the, yes?
Are you gonna continue to hold on to the Kramer Room and the community gardens?
So that is a question for the executive committee. As of right now, we have 2 years left on a 5-year contract with the Kramer Room. So I don't really know if we want to break that contract, because sometimes that gets more expensive. Right now, so the Kramer Room, for those of you who are new, is a very small building on the back end of the new Entira Clinic next to Wells Fargo off of Phelan Boulevard and Clarence. So if you drive down Rose from the BCA and you see this tiny little glass room, you can see lots of boxes.
Back of all these.
On the back of all, on the back of all these, we lease that space for no charge. We were supposed to be billed for utilities, but I've never seen a bill. So, and they have never indicated that they're going to bill us. It is available to us to use for meetings. Originally it was gonna be a food truck park, but the food trucks wouldn't come. The challenge that we have, and the reason we don't do a lot of meetings there, it is excruciatingly hot in the summer because it's all windows, and excruciatingly cold in the winter because it's all windows. However, we are looking to use that. We're going to be bringing back the coffee and conversations, where one Saturday a month we get together and chat. No agendas, no structured conversations. It's just an opportunity for a community, meet your staff, meet a couple board members, find out what we're working on, and just hear how things are going in the neighborhood. So we'll be bringing them back in January. Dress warm. As for the community gardens, we did sign one more lease, one more 1-year lease with the National Guard. They wanted us to sign a 5-year lease. I said, we need to figure out what to do because we're finding more and more expenses attached to those community gardens, and we are not making enough from the gardeners to cover those costs. So we need to figure out, is it worth the loss of funds to keep them? So that's, like I said, one of the things the brand new executive committee is gonna be working on. So those are the answers there.
Are you able to say how much? I don't know if you have a calculation on that, how much we lose from the community gardens currently?
I don't. I did bring it to the executive committee earlier year, and I don't think I have it handy on my screen, but I can certainly send that out to everybody so you can get a good idea, and then once the executive committee kind of starts to take a lead on it, they can fill the board in on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Rebecca. Okay. So, you can see, like I say, where we're at, based on the budget from 2022. Does anyone have any questions on the financial report? It was a lot of information. Again, I feel bad for piling it all on you. It'll get easier from here. So I'm sure Yanni, our renewed president, would be open to a motion pending audit to approve the financial report.
So moved.
There's second.
Second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now,
Yes, okay.
any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? All right, thank you all for that. Now we'll go into our board orientation a little bit, but before we get there, I do want to just kind of show everyone a copy of the budget that we approved back in September. It's small, I apologize. Since this one, we have added a Department of Energy grant, Family Housing Fund grant from 3M, potentially another co-ops grant, and I have also written 2 different grants to the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits on voter education and registration. We don't know about those. Those are potentially $20,000. The rest is, what did we just figure, Paul? $170,000
roughly,
that we'll
yeah.
be adding to our budget this year. Which is never happened to me before anyway. And I've been here since 2005. So I will be submitting a new budget to the executive committee probably before the end of this year. We'll get together, which means in January, we'll have the board ratify the executive committee recommendations. Oh, and one more thing, White Bear Avenue increased us from 30 to 35. So. Okay, that's a little extra.
5,000 is a lot of money.
When we're not,
Yeah.
when we didn't know we were gonna get any.
This is a blessed year, so
Yeah.
enjoy it. It's-
Yep, so we'll see what happens from here, but this is your budget that we're working on for the next 30 days. So maybe less if I can get the executive committee together before the holidays. So that is what the budget looks right now. Oops, I see something in the chat. Oh, PowerPoint issue, okay. I will close this off and then we will start. You know, I think for most of you, this is gonna be repeat. But I know for Nathan, this is the first time, so if there's something that any of you would like me to go over further, shout at me, yell at me, otherwise I will just continue to talk. And we're not gonna go through this slide by slide because it's like, you guys can read, it's not that important. So, let me see here. Well, I love, has anyone noticed the new Microsoft Office products? They're wonderful. They're a pain in the butt. They are a big, big pain in my butt.
I thought you were serious. That's not, never mind, move along.
Yep, we're serious, okay. So. Here's your staff. And I think what we'll do is we'll have Annie and Giovanna say hello and kind of what your main projects are. So which one of you would like to go first?
I'll go first. Why not?
Miss G, you're up.
Hello, everyone. My name is Giovanna and I am your community organizer, winter engagement specialist. What we're working on this year is, we do mobile food show. We have over the last 3 weeks helped a total of 9 families each week, which is great for something that we literally just started. I do most of my advertising for that, for our area on the Greater Eastside website as well as my own Facebook page. I am working on planning a couple of barbecues for next year coming around. I want to do one in the spring and then one midsummer. I am also working with coordinating with a bunch of different areas, District 1, 6. I'm even connecting with the Roosevelt Homes. I've done the Iowa High Rise as well. So I look forward to continuing working with our community and actually I want to continue to work with the kids too. So with that grant, we want to do some things with the kids and I work with the co-op.
So one of the reasons G is giggling is because I just showed them the 2024 work plan and it's 11 pages long. So she's like, I'm doing a lot. I'm doing a lot. Annie, did you want to introduce yourself?
So yes, I'm Annie Emery. I live in District 1 myself. So I've been with Lisa for just over a year now. So I know you guys generally have seen me around to do a lot of the technology. I redid the website when we first started. That updated a lot of the calendars. So I provide a variety of admin support with Lisa, kind of her right-hand gal. A lot of day-to-day ordering, supplies, and then I'm in the trainer room, helping put together the shed, and we ordered a new shed. So a lot of just whatever needs to be done. So I do the Facebook, social media, kind of grow those. And then my main project is actually the Ramsey County Messenger grant. So I've been really doing that, going to all the meetings. So just general support. And yeah, want to say anything else, Lisa? Did I do anything?
All the pretty flyers,
Yep.
all the pretty stuff that we have is Annie.
Yep.
And then also, we're gonna kind of be transitioning Annie also into some environmental stuff. So Rebecca, I know you and I have to talk, but Annie is gonna be kind of moving into kind of helping me do some of our environmental things. So Furness Parkway, the green space that's planned for the Heights. There is a potential lawsuit brewing, not in our neighborhood, but Northern Iron, which is on Phelan Boulevard, has been dinged quite healthily by the EPA for lots of bad things, air quality issues, environmental violations. Thank you. That's the words I was looking for. So, Payne Phelan, the Ramsey County Commissioner, Mai Chong, wants us to weigh in on some things, which is actually a great segue, if you don't mind me, Annie. So district councils, we all are individual nonprofit organizations. Typically, when something is happening in another neighborhood, we don't weigh in until the district council that is that neighborhood weighs in. And then we make sure that whether we're for, against, support, don't support, or completely staying out of it, we make sure we have a conversation with that district council, because we don't want to overstep and we don't want them to come in and tell us how to run our neighborhood either. So when it comes to this Northern Iron situation, which is actually on the boundary of two district councils, it's on the boundary of Dayton's Bluff as well as Payne Fallon. We're gonna be looking to them to see what they do first before we weigh in. It's just kind of the esprit de corps, or as we used to say, esprit de corpses, working with the other district councils.
That's done on rural, right?
It's, yeah, I think it's technically on Mendota Court or something like that. So it's off of Phelan
Not
Boulevard,
as
but
far
you
down
can,
as Earl, I don't think.
you can see it from Phelan Boulevard.
Okay.
I think it's technically across from the Archdiocese building.
Oh, yes, it is past Earl, yep.
Yeah, I think it's across
I
from
know.
Archdiocese. But this is your staff. Like I say, we are looking to hire a few more. I've got some really good resumes. And so we're probably gonna be doing some interviewing after Thanksgiving. So hopefully by our next board meeting in January, you'll have someone new to meet. So we're excited about that.
Definitely.
Yes, and a lot of the help that the new organizer will be doing will be working with Giovanna, so it's not all falling on her plate. Yes.
I have a question for Annie.
Yeah.
About the Facebook. How often do you analyze the, the audience numbers, the return on the
Yeah.
investment of time
Yeah.
on that? Is that something that?
They've been
we could
growing
get a-
pretty slow, I think, I know Lisa and I had several discussions about this comment when I worked at District 1, I did social media there, similar issue. So I'm just trying to keep growing it, I usually try to post twice a week. Lisa and I talk a lot about not oversaturating the page, so if District 2 has a priority event, I always put our stuff as a feature item, and then we share community stuff. So it's kind of a fine line of not just reposting other people's, so we do want to keep our voice, pretty front and center, but, yeah, do you want to add anything?
The only thing is that we track those numbers monthly.
Yeah.
And we see how it's growing, and we watch to see what posts are having the most interactions to it. And then we evaluate if we want to do more of that type of post or others. So we do take a look at it monthly.
So do all 17 districts have a Facebook page?
Mhm.
Is this something that's a requirement of a
No.
grant or anything?
No, it isn't a requirement, but we have had some pretty good successes. Advertising events on our Facebook page. Where we're finding more folks kind of leaning to is Twitter, which I hate, but that's, or X, I should say. It's not Twitter anymore, it's X. Twitter, Instagram, the new Threads. So we're slowly kind of branching into them too. But yeah, we've had some pretty good successes on Facebook, and each district council does have their own Facebook page.
Should we talk about kind of the video project next year, or should we wait? Interview the, so what
do you wanna
we've been talking about too is just putting a face to the content, it's not just, the flyers and things, which is great, but we've kind of already been doing that quite a bit. So Lisa and I were talking about maybe interviewing the board and like, why are you involved here? What's, what is your work? Why would you want to show up to? I think we were even talking about going to parks and saying, well, here's the disc golf course, here's the library. It basically would be showing and telling. I'm not sure I want to stand in front of the camera, but using our technology in these ways, very visual things, I think that's where a lot of things are going. So it creates a little more excitement. So it's not directly going to grow the audience, but it comes out with our website, social media. I just think it's more engaging.
That'd be cool, like a travel show for District 2.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about in the engagement with media and I.
Yes, so that came from Karen and Needy last year. We also do have a YouTube page, so we have the ability to create some longer timed videos. And we do have a couple of videos, actually. Haley, who was our intern last summer, she did several kind of walk around videos. We even have a TikTok post. It's frightening, but we do. And then also, we have the ability, but we haven't really figured out what the best timing is to do Facebook Lives. Which have been pretty successful for some of the other district councils as well, so.
And I've been putting, all of the board meetings up on YouTube. So it's
Yeah,
very
yes.
visual And, on our website, so a lot of this archiving things is very public, very transparent. So that's something I'll be working on a lot sooner. So, yeah, knowing I'm not a visual person, so I'm learning the technology along.
So we're all famous.
So we'll all be famous, yes. So yeah, I think it's good. It's gonna be more engaging.
All right.
Or infamous.
Well, I'm just gonna finish,
Yeah, go ahead.
finish the thought. I'm not sure everybody understands, maybe where I'm heading with this. So as a, well, I'll just say, without talking about my personal expertise, my personal feelings are that I question how much effort and time and money that we should be putting into platforms that the Attorney General of Minnesota is actively suing Meta. And, concerned about the harm that it's having on young people throughout our state and nation and the world. And, I don't think that we should continue to reward and use companies that are behaving unethically and potentially illegally.
I think that's very valid, and I think that we need more information. So if you could actually provide me with a little bit more on that, that'd be great. I would love to look into it deeper. Thank you.
And that there's maybe some possibilities with our website being more interactive and as a better platform for hosting.
My heart is always in the website, that's what
Yeah.
we do the most work. So the website is like 70% for me, that's where it's around and focus, so we have a lot of options. Within that, we can do the video and things, so, yep, yeah, thanks for your comments.
Okay, so just a little bit, we did talk a little bit about how the district councils are all 17 individual nonprofits. We are advisory boards. So when a developer comes to us or a business is looking for a license, we have three options. We can choose to support, we can choose to not support, and we can always choose to do absolutely nothing. It's always the presenter's hope that we will 100% support. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. We are not able to say, yes, this is gonna happen in our neighborhood. We can only send to the advising body, whether it be the city council, whether it be the planning commission, whether it be the zoning board, whether it be the county or the state. That's our role, is just advisory. We advise on behalf of the neighborhood that this is our position on this project. There are individual district councils who do things differently. They have different priorities, but it's suited specifically for their neighborhood. So there are some similarities. We are currently the largest board in the city. We have some district councils who have multiple committees. We have some that have no committees. All of us, district council wise, are having recruitment issues. So that's something that we will continue to work on. Figuring out what's the best way to get people more involved. And the district councils meet monthly, at least the kind of leadership, to talk about ways that we can work together better, address those recruitment issues, address other issues that happen. And we're very lucky that the East Side district councils we all work pretty well together. So there are, for example, that I alluded to a Department of Energy grant that will be a 2-year grant where they are looking to install car charging stations in the neighborhood. as well as have, the EV cars, the cars, the rideshare cars, installed into our neighborhood. We, District 1, District 4, and District 5 are all being awarded out of that grant, so we all work together, on that. So, lots of fun stuff there, some of the other things that we do, park planning, plan events for the White Bear Avenue, like the parade, community gardens, maintain our community room. We partner with other, entities such as, I'm looking to do some partnering with Ramsey County Workforce Solutions next year. I'm looking to do some partnering with our other, faith-based communities, the library here, and other nonprofits that are working in the neighborhood, because why recreate the wheel? And when we can mutually support each other in doing the work. And then we do, land use issues, engagement issues, and, the renter forums. That Ms. G is handling. So just a little bit kind of structure wise, as your executive director, I serve at your pleasure. So if you got a problem, you guys gotta tell me about it. As for staff, I hire, manage, and terminate them. If there's something that my staff has an issue with, they will let the executive committee know, because the executive committee also serves as personnel committee. And, you know, I listen to the executive committee. So the responsibilities of Yanni, leader of the board, head cheerleader, and is also the person who kind of works between the staff and executive director if needed. So, you know, again, I'm not going to read through all of this because, you know, a lot of you have seen this before. It's just kind of, you know, what are the regular kind of structures that we've built around our board meetings, where the board president, except for this meeting, runs the meeting. We try to get your agendas out a week in advance. Sometimes things happen in between that time and we have to make some changes. But we try and get the information out to you as soon as possible. And we also always try to be unbiased in information. So if we have a project coming to us that they're looking for our support, we will give you as much information as we can, pro and against, so that you can make an educated decision rather than just what staff thinks. It's your neighborhood, it's not our neighborhood, although you live here. So just some little roles and responsibilities of board members. You are not necessarily District 2, although you're a board member of District 2. So when KSTP comes to Mike and says, what is District 2's position? Mike's response would be, call the office. My personal opinion as a resident may be blank. But if you want District 2's, you need to call the office and have the unless you're authorized by the board to speak on behalf of District 2, you're only giving your personal opinion and you cannot say that you are the District 2 opinion. That's the main thing. We do also ask that you show up sometimes at events. If you can, you know, we understand people's times are at a premium and we appreciate every moment that you have with us. But we get it. But we do hope that you'll be able to support your neighborhood by getting out, meeting some of your neighbors, and events are an easy way to do that. Again, just some more stuff of what the board members are. Be an ambassador like Joan Ballinger, who walks her neighborhood every day and talks to everybody, whether she wants to or not. And then I go again into funding, and I think we kind of did this pretty well already. The city contract, we have 4 goals every year, and all of our activities are based on those goals. 2 of those goals are required by the city, One is to facilitate citizen participation. The other is to respond to ongoing zoning and land use issues. The rest is what we kind of do. Again, this was written, well, actually, this is correct. So, we have applied and received $20,000 from Family Housing Fund for 2024. We have received $5,000 for Purple Line engagement. Actually, we have received $100,000 over 2 years for EV and our car engagement. We have applied for and received $30,000 from 3M for community engagement. We haven't heard on the additional 44,000 in facade and HVAC improvements. Like I say, we're a second year on Ramsey County, as well as the co-ops. And then we're actually expecting another 10,000 from co-ops. So we are pretty happy about that. It's been a lot of meetings. Everything's a lot of meetings. So I did include a cheat sheet of abbreviations. It's really easy as staff, especially I've been here since 2005. So to make everything NENDC and ESABA and COPP, please stop me and say, what the heck is COPP? What the heck is this? Because I slip into those abbreviations really easy, and some of you know what they are and some of you don't. So please always feel free to ask and say, explain what you're talking about. But these are some of the ones that you'll hear more frequently. In your packets, there's our contact information. There is kind of a map of our neighborhoods. We actually represent 10 different neighborhoods in our community. And then also what the wards and district councils look like, and it looks like this might be the old one, so we need to update that a little bit. With the last census, the ward lines changed just a little bit. More so, Ward 5 got really weird. But that's a little bit to our west, so that's that. Does anyone have any questions? I know I'm unloading a ton of information on you, and it's probably not the most exciting, information.
It's not a question,
Yeah,
but a clarification.
yeah.
You said for being in the board, you should show up to meetings whenever or events whenever you can.
With the understanding that we know we can't make everything.
Yeah.
But we really do try and encourage board members to come to meetings, come to listening sessions with the neighborhood, come to events. I mean, I was really excited to see how many folks came and volunteered for the parade this year. That was wonderful. We have a staff of 1 full-time and 3 part-time. So if we can build our capacity with all of you sitting in this room, imagine what we can do.
Yeah, I'd like to thank our staff because you've done a lot this year.
You know, you guys, we have a great team and I'm really excited about where we're going. And like I say, we have 11 pages of work plans. And what's nice is we finally have the capacity to increase our numbers staff wise, but you are not the hook. All of you are going to be looked at when stuff comes around and says, hey, can you help us out? So we thank you too. The only neighborhood update I have is that we will not have a December board meeting unless something happens where we need to act. It's sounding like originally we might have to, we'll look at some variances for Habitat for Humanity. It looks like that's being pushed till January. Mainly because the city stops working in December too. So I will keep you posted if something changes, but plan on no December board meeting and enjoy your family and friends during the holiday season. Your staff reports were emailed. You will get a staff report every month unless something gets weird, like a parade. Sometimes those staff reports don't happen. But we do try to send out a staff report, just so you all can kind of get an idea of the projects that we're working on. When something big happens citywide, or if I get some really hot scoop, I'm always happy to share hot scoop. And, you know, also, I like to keep people posted in my reports, especially when the city's slow on reimbursements. If there's some grant writing I'm doing that I might need some assistance from you. So take a look at your reports when we email them. They're fun, they're interesting, and you can keep an eye on your staff. So with that, Instagram.
I'd like to make a motion.
All right,
Motion be approved, huh?
motion to
adjourn?
adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Not too shabby, 7:30 on the dot. All in favor? All opposed? All right.
There's gotta be someone that opposes someone.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
You know, we'll see you all soon, and remember there's still meetings.
Some things, man.